Today we are going to talk about The Handmaid's Tale. Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Candy and Popcorn. I'm Candice James, and thank you for watching. And again guys, if you ever want to know what I'm drinking, just ask and ye shall be answered in the comments. Yes, I'm dramatic. So with The Handmaid's Tale, we are well into season 3 on Hulu, but I want to give a really quick recap of season 2. It ended with, her making an attempt to get away, but at the last minute changing her mind, and instead giving her newborn daughter to another escapee, another handmaid, in order to get over into Canada. And so now she's stayed back because she has her older daughter who is still in Gilead, and she still wants to rescue that older daughter. And she's in more danger than ever because various people know that she's made another attempt. She's in more danger because the Marthas, coordinated so well and so it threw much difficulty in order to give her this opportunity. And here she is, still in Gilead. So it's back to see how she is going to re-enter the Gilead Society, which I think she does very well in this season, and still trying to get her daughter back. So let's talk about season 3, episode 7. Been called Under His Eye. Has that been used already? Under His Eye? No, it hasn't. So in this episode, she tries to see her daughter again, and she does fail, spoiler, and she does it by trying to convince Martha to get the daughter to be a certain place so she can go to her daughter's school in Brooklyn. In order to get to Brooklyn, she manipulates the wife of the commander that she serves under, who is sickly, and she takes advantage of that, and fails to go see her daughter. And then in the end, this Martha dies in this plan, and June makes it out again. Okay, y'all, I'm gonna say it. June's a little selfish. I get that she is in this patriarchal theological society. I understand that she is oppressed as a woman within the society. I understand that her child has been taken away from her, and I understand that she needs to fight like hell in order to get that child back. I agree with all of those things. But even within the people who are trying to help her, she does things that causes harm to them. For example, that Martha, who she convinces to bring her daughter just so she can see her daughter. This is not an escape attempt. So it's you just get to see your daughter again, and then you go back to the same oppressive society that you came from, right? And now this Martha has now lost her life. So this is someone who could have helped you in the future to make an honest attempt to remove yourself from this society, to escape, and now they're dead. So that is one less person to potentially help you in the future when it really makes sense. Again, she manipulates the wife of Commander Joseph, right? Commander Joseph is, again, the one who helped her to almost escape at the end of season 2, which she reneged on and stayed for her daughter, which, I think was the best idea, the best choice. You don't leave your child behind, right? 100% I get that. But how is he going to feel about helping you now that you have manipulated his sickly wife into this traumatic event that, he cares deeply for his wife? Why is he going to help you in the future? That wasn't smart. So she comes off as selfish in her ways to, try and manipulate other people. But sometimes it's against her best efforts. It's this was not smart in either of those. You're just going to see your daughter. You get to see her, yay, but your daughter's situation doesn't change and your situation doesn't change. So where does that leave you? Pissing off your commander, who could have helped you and had the possibility of helping you in the future, and also getting a Martha who could have helped you in the future killed. So yeah, I think June's a little selfish. So I also think, and I think this is one of those things that make the story, right, as fantastical as it is June is just incredibly lucky, right? The amount of trouble that she has gotten herself into versus the consequences that should happen to her within the universe, within the society that she exists, just doesn't make sense. I mean, we have had other handmaids who have gotten much more severe punishments for less. Here's things that June has done in the past. She has made multiple escape attempts, at least 2 of them, right? She has hit her commander. That was a bossy ass move right there. But she has struck her commander. She has stolen away successfully a baby from Gilead. Like, that is the biggest commodity within Gilead, is this child. And she managed to successfully steal away a child. She's a part of a faction that seeks to undermine the Gilead government, right? And actively a part of that faction. And she is ultimately a very defiant character, constantly getting in trouble with Aunt Linda, constantly getting in trouble with her, either the wives or the commanders that she works for. And yet, the worst that's ever happened to June is she was chained during her pregnancy, and she was beaten a couple of times. Other characters we've seen have lost an eye. Other characters have lost a clitoris. Other characters have, we've seen handmaids with rings through their mouth so that they can't speak. And there's been various different characters who've been hanged for their treason against this government. But somehow, she continues to get lucky and get out of these things scot-free and just get reassigned to another post. So I have some open questions, not only for this episode, but for the show. My first question is, who is Commander Joseph and what are his motives? So we see that this guy is actively aiding a rebellion, right? He was the one that aided, her attempt to get away at the end of the second season. But at the same time, he is openly threatening and condescending to his staff, slaves, because they're not getting paid. Openly threatening and condescending to them, and sometimes thwart their sometimes he aims to thwart their actions, and there's clearly a mistrust between them, so it's not quite sure where he fits, right? He is being treasonous against Gilead, but also very mistrustful against the handmaids and the Marthas, and that within that structure. So it's unsure about who he is and why he's doing what he's doing. What are his motives? Again, why does June keep getting so many chances when so many other characters have literally been sent to detention centers or sent to some colony where the air and the water is poisonous, but somehow June just literally keeps getting herself into more trouble with less punishment? So that's open question. Why is it that commanders only procreate with the handmaids? So are all the wives barren? I mean, I know within this society, the reason why Gilead was formed was because there was a decline in births and more, pregnancies that didn't end up becoming full term. But are all wives unable to carry children? Are only handmaids the one able to carry children? It's not quite sure. And then, do the wives have sex with their commanders? It's really unsure. Why hasn't Serena and Fred turned June in? If it's in fact the answer to the last question, which was whether or not wives can bear children, and if the answer is no, then I can see the answer to this. The reason why they haven't turned it in is because she's so desperate for a child. But they could have easily, again, she's a traitor and he's a pretty high senior commander. They could have easily turned her in and gotten a new handmaid. For example, the handmaid, there is a handmaid who's June's partner in this episode who, has had like 5 kids. That would be perfect for them. And she's so compliant and believes the BS that, she's taught as a handmaid, under his eye. How is Nick still able to work and hasn't been turned in as well? So at the end of season 2, he actively stopped Commander Fred from going after June and the baby once they escaped. Like, clearly there were people that were a part of this rebellion, Nick being one of them, and it was no secret. So why is he still able to operate within the society? Why haven't they thrown him in jail or given him some crushing punishment like they seem to do with everyone else? Open question. How are the jobs assigned? How do you become a Martha or a handmaid? Like, how does that work? Or an Aunt Linda or Aunt whatever the names are. How do you become a handmaid? How do you become a Martha? How do you become a wife? How do you become a driver, a soldier versus a commander? It would be interesting to know how the hierarchy of Gilead was decided from the beginning. And is there access to mobility? Obviously not on the female side, right? Like, if you're a Martha, you're a Martha. There is no promotion. But can you go from a driver to a commander? Can you go from a driver to a soldier? How does that work? All right, guys, so thanks again for watching another episode of Candy and Popcorn. And again, this is a conversation. This is not a dictation. So I want to hear what you have to say in the comments. And I'm pretty active in them as well. So please let me know what you think. And if you have some of the answers to my open questions, I want to hear about it. My name is Candice James, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next time on another episode of Candy and Popcorn. See ya. Bye.